I think that everybody has this idea of how we'd like homeschooling to look, and it's probably something like this. And it ends up sometimes looking a little bit more like this.
No shakas.
What are you doing, child? Some days you just feel like a dinosaur trainer. It can be a little bit crazy. So I'm going to show you guys some of the ways that my kids and I have fun homeschooling day to day. My very favorite thing is going to be the thing that I shared last, and it's an idea I came up with a while back that I had an epiphany and I was like, ooh, I should do this, and it's turned out to be really cool, so stick around for that. So in our day-to-day, one of the first things I do is I often let the kids decide what we're going to do first, and then if we're working through something that is particularly a trying subject, like some days math is a breeze and some days it's really hard because it's like they're learning something harder. For example, division seems to be something that they have a little bit of a struggle with, and something I might do to encourage them to get to the next step without having it be like a total fall apart, everyone's crying, is just to be like, oh, when we're done with math, we're going to go on and do some reading. Whatever it is, it's something that they're going to enjoy next, and usually picking those easier subjects after a harder subject tends to be like they know, like when I'm done with math, I can kind of sit back and relax a little and just listen to mom read for a while. And they like that. It's like encouraging, and it gets them usually through that portion of whatever trial that we're going through with a little bit more ease and just like, okay, like power through, let's get to the next thing. So that's the first thing I do that just kind of helps them to keep having fun, where they're just like, okay, we're going to get there. The next thing is, like I've told you before, with like helping them focus, is including treats or doing math or whatever. Math is one that we often do this with, so that's why I say that. But we'll do it with like chocolate chips or rocks or something that they enjoy, because then they get that little treat at the end of getting to like eat the chocolate, for example. And to me, it is worth it to that, like to let them have a little bit of a treat for doing a good job, having a good attitude, and working through something that I know is hard for them. So I don't mind giving them a little treat to let them like feel good about doing that. Another suggestion I have is letting them decorate their binders, letting them have fun pencils, pens, anything like that, where they just feel like they're getting to do something kind of exciting and choose their own. This is especially helpful with my daughter. She really likes to have new like little pens, pencils, erasers, whatever, little stickers like donut stickers, anything like that. She really enjoys like getting to play with those. And it's not something I have to think about very much because my kids have always been homeschooled, but I know that in public school, like that's not always an option. They don't always have a choice of every little thing that they get to do, or the order in which they get to do it, or where they get to do it. So in our house, like we do lots of reading on the couch. We do lots of reading outside and like in the tree or wherever. We'll do activities outside all the time. So one of the great things is that we're able to just take homeschooling where we want it to be. I mean, I've even done homeschooling at the beach. Like, it can be anywhere. So that's my other suggestion, is like just make it fun, take it wherever, and be able to incorporate those things that your kids would really enjoy. So another thing that we do is like if we're all kind of like getting a little bit, I would say, antsy, because sometimes we get antsy in the house being inside homeschooling for the majority of the day. So some mornings, if I can just tell like, okay, everybody's having like a little attitude, I can already feel this might be rough, like we'll go for a drive, we'll go out, we'll get some fresh air, drive around with the windows down, and I'll tell the kids, look, when we get home, we're going to do school. But I feel like that really helps them to just like, okay, we got out of the house. It's almost like a reset. Like we'll just go on a drive, maybe get hot chocolate out, something like that. And I found this is like really helpful for letting them feel like, okay, let's go stretch our legs, whatever. If we lived close enough, we'd probably walk there, but we don't live close enough to any places to walk and get hot chocolate. But that's another suggestion, is that it can be really helpful to do that. Another way to have fun is to let them have like a drink during. So we will do tea during, lemonade during, something like that. I think just helps them. And again, like they don't always get to do that. I think in school you can't just, sit there drinking your tea while you're doing your schoolwork. But at our house you can. So my son will often sit and read at like our dinner table with his tea in front of him, and he's just sitting there reading a book. So I think that those are things that you can do to make it a little bit more fun, especially if you're transitioning this year from public school to homeschooling. And if you want to be able to to see what you get to do that you might not have had the opportunity to do in public school, that's one of the things you can do is choose where you homeschool. And if you want to read during lunchtime, sometimes I'm like, oh, all the kids are sitting down, let's just read some right now. I found that that's helpful, and I enjoy it too because I enjoy reading to the kids, so we do that a lot. Another fun activity to do or way to keep homeschooling fun is to do baking or cooking while you're homeschooling. So most of the time, at least for us, we're studying some sort of time in history or a location, and there's always a food that you could do for that corresponds or correlates to that whatever you're studying for school. Like right now we're doing Native American history. I'm gonna make some fry bread. I can't wait. We already ordered some tea to drink tea like they did at the Boston Tea Party. Like we're gonna do lots of things to incorporate what we're learning, and I can't wait. And my daughter is ecstatic. She's asking when the tea's gonna get here like every half an hour. So I think that doing things like that can just really bring some life to your homeschool day because it's just going to be so fun. And then throughout the year, as we're like, ooh, we're going to have some tea because we're studying about the Revolutionary War, stuff like that. I really recommend. It's so much fun, and it keeps the kids entertained, and it makes them feel special. Like my son is doing world history, my first grader, and I'm excited because we get to do some foods from the time frames that he's learning about as well. We haven't got there quite yet because it's still really early days into the school year. But he's excited because when you just really focus in on whatever that activity is for that specific child, like I ordered him his own kind of like a lap book, but he gets to do some crafts. He's excited to get to do those things that correlate to his specific school. So I am doing different cores. I'm doing different programs with each of the kids. It's all from Sonlight, but they're all learning different things, the 3 oldest ones. And I think it's really meaningful to the kids when you get to have that, we're doing this for your project. Even the other kids can join in, but it makes them feel so special, and then we have so much fun. Those are always the best. So if you do a 4-day schedule, I recommend doing Fridays be the day that you kind of maybe go off script a little, and you can do some fun baking, do some play acting, anything like that. It's so much fun. And those are always the kids' favorite days, or the days that we kind of go off and do something that's still school related, but not quite maybe just textbook school. So the very last thing is something that I thought of towards the end of last year. This is something that I wish my parents had done. I was homeschooled and they didn't do this, and that's totally fine. But it's something that I started doing, and it really inspired my children to finish their school. I'm going to grab it real quick. So this is our prize box, and because it's the end of the school year, or the start of the school year, and they kind of emptied it last year, it's getting pretty empty. We just have a few things in here right now, so I bought my son the whole Diary of a Wimpy Kid set so that he could earn them as he did his school. But the thing is, so what we did is that for every school book that they finished, every workbook that they finished, they got a prize. And they got to come and pick a prize from the prize box. And this was a number of things. I had cross-stitching stuff for my daughter. I had plastic snakes for my boys and my daughter. One of the plastic snakes too. We had some hard animals. We had some stuffed animals. We had just a lot of stuff in here. Doing a prize at the end of the school year was encouraging for them because they were like, yes, I'm getting to the end of the school year. They started getting close, and they were flying through the workbooks because they were so excited to get their prize. And they knew what their prize was going to be because they would go and look ahead of time, right? Because they were excited, so they weren't allowed to pull anything out, but they could go and look and see what was in the prize box. And like I said, it was much more full because when you've got 4 kids and they all go through all those workbooks, they cleared it. But I'm already excited to start filling it up again because I know that as we get through the books, and then for the older kids, the older 2 are doing their own chapter books now. And I've told them for every 5 big books that they read with Sonlight, which takes them, I don't know, about 12 weeks maybe, they're allowed to pick out a prize. So if they want to read ahead, they can get a prize earlier. I don't do it for every book because my son finishes them about every 2 weeks, and my daughter's, I think it's probably going to be 3 weeks. So I was like, well, we don't want to do, I'm not doing a $5 prize every 3 weeks for the entire school year. But I like the idea of having it be like motivating. And it was motivating. It was never like a problem. They ended up having so much fun, and the older two ended up helping the younger two because they knew that they wanted their prize. They were so excited to help them get it, and they started working through it really fast. And it really helped to kind of finish the end of the school year on a high. But not all the books take an entire year to go through. So you can totally do it at the beginning of the school year, and by about week 12, you should start having some books that you finished. And I know my kids are working through them. My kindergartner, his are a little bit shorter to go through, so he's a little bit of an advantage because he's already like going through some, and he just got a prize like this week for books that he did over the summer. So that's my other tip, is like find the motivation that for your kids, like what is it that really inspires them. For mine, it's clearly like prizes, right? But you know, based on your kids' love languages, you might find something else that's, I don't know, like take them out to a movie or something if that's what's going to drive them. But have a big prize that they can see that they're going to be able to work toward and be excited about. So along the lines of keeping your kids motivated, one of my upcoming videos, probably not this week but next, is going to be the end of year school testing. So we just tested. It was really fun. It was better than I thought it was going to be, and it was actually kind of interesting for my kids to get to see their results, and it was motivating, encouraging, and they got to see where they weren't as good, so they were like, ooh, I should work on that, which was, I was very proud of them for that. So keep an eye out for that video. It's going to be coming out this week or next, and you guys can see what I've tested with and what I thought of the testing, how it went, how they were run, and then how it showed the scores for my kids and what I thought of that. So that'll be coming out soon.